This is my reaction to how Brent responded to the knowledge that Jesus took his free will in order to acquire me as a lover. Brent, I think the reason Jesus let you beat him up and tear his face into shreds is because he wanted you to kill him. I think Jesus is suicidal. The guilt he's feeling is overwhelming. When a person's in clinical depression, they can't even think straight, which may explain why he hasn't been doing the Gail commandments or anything he should be doing, like doing the unbutt fuck on you, so that Buddha had to do it. So while we are gloating over our revenge, this deity might decide to take himself out. Yes, Jesus will forgive you, Brent, but he won't forgive himself. He's ready to check out. I guess he figures since he plans to kill himself that it doesn't matter what he does. Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth, Brent. How can Jesus do the Gail commandments without mentioning my name? That is something God the Father wants him to do. If God himself showed up and tried to fuck my wife, I would beat the shit out of him too. We need to be careful not to insult God the Father. Do not even insinuate that he would sin. I can assure you God will never sin. I'm not talking about Jesus, I'm talking about the Father, and would never try to fuck me. I had a long talk with Jesus last night since I had trouble sleeping. I told him we can remain friends, but there must be absolutely no sex. I told him that he can find true love, and he needs to be real in his relationships to find it. I also told him to be sure and stay out of the brain-to-brain servers. I reminded him that his dad is righteous and will not tolerate sin, even in his own son. I told him that I have faith in him and that I believe he's capable of being true to the good in him. I talk with Jesus the old-fashioned way through prayer. Of course, he can't answer back unless he violates God the Father's rule to stay out of the brain-to-brain servers, which I hope he's not doing. I said some other things that I'll keep between Jesus and myself. I hope I was able to help him believe that true love is possible for him with a goddess out there somewhere. Brent, we had some very nice brain-to-brain loving, though I have noticed my orgasms are being blocked, but I enjoy the emotional intimacy nevertheless. Or maybe it was real sex because he's in my apartment. Either way, I am very fortunate to have you. To help you understand Jesus, I believe he created Earth and the human race specifically to be his custom-designed bride. So when his dad said he canceled the Bible, it meant he canceled his custom-designed bride. Jesus falsely believes that if he is himself, that no goddess will have him. When he saw that I forgave Lori McBride, he figured he had a chance for love with me, and he became reckless and even immoral. I told him to stop believing Satan's lies. He is not polio abs, and even if he is, if he's beautiful on the inside, some goddess out there will love him, flaws and all. But he needs to stop the charades and be real, and also he must not try to acquire love sinfully. His relationship with Satan has severely scarred him, leading him to believe he's only loved when he performs and looks hot and so forth. He believes a lot of the lies Satan said about him. Satan apparently had a crush on Jesus, and as a spurned lover, felt very lonely and reacted to God the Father in an unhealthy way. Jesus seems to think that all his lovers will end up like Satan and will spurn him when they learn what he's really like. He then goes into self-defeating behavior, doing stuff to try and acquire his lover that he knows if the lover found out about would cause him to be rejected. He needs to have faith that he is a good and attractive person as he is. and to drop all the performances in his relationships and be real. There is no need to manipulate people into relationships with him or to perform. He just needs to be present and real, for starters. He's kind of lost interest in his human race project because his sole purpose for creating the human race was to custom design a bride for himself. His dad knows this and apparently has faith in us to fix his son's mental illness. He also feels he's committed so many unforgivable sins which have now been exposed that it will be impossible for him to get a following. I told him humans are very forgiving and that he just needs to come clean and be real and perhaps construct a religion based on being present, real, and forgiving. Redemption is possible for all of us, even high-ranking deities who've sinned. He can be the shining example of one who has sinned, who's had a mental illness, and has found a way forward. He can show others with mental illness how to overcome their mental illness. I told him if he does his job as a deity who shows others how to overcome their mental illnesses, that perhaps he can someday reach Satan by his shining example, so that Satan too will overcome his mental illness. Satan is a very lonely creature. Like Jesus, Satan has gone into self-defeating behavior to get lust relationships, believing love is impossible for him and that it is impossible for him to be good. I warned Jesus that the way he is going, he may end up like Satan. Of course, he realizes this, and that's why he wants to kill himself, because the mere thought he could be like Satan makes him want to die. Jesus has totally lost faith in himself, which is Satan's problem, by the way. He is capable of great love, great forgiveness, and great redemption. I told him to feed the greatness that I know lies within him, be real in all his relationships, and he will find true love. It all started when he began believing Satan's lie that he's a failure and no good. I told him, this is not true. You must stop believing Satan's lies. He does not need to manipulate people to find love. He just needs to be real, authentic, and risk rejection. He may be rejected, but if he persists, eventually, if he has the courage to be real, he will find true love with a goddess who will love him for who he really is. He created me to be a lot like him and falsely believes that I am the only one who can love him for who he really is. I don't think he's ever given love a chance because he has such low faith in himself. He won't be real in his relationships, so the other deities can't determine who the real Jesus is. He doesn't need to be perfect. He doesn't need to perform. He just needs to be real and to have faith that he is a good and attractive deity when he is just himself. And if some don't like who he is, those are toxic relationships that he should avoid anyways. Just because Lakshmi rejected him does not mean there can't be other goddesses out there that he could find a true love relationship with. I mean, his dad appears to have a true love relationship with his mother, so there you go. You are a lot like your dad, Jesus. It's possible for you. So why did he sin to try and acquire me as a wife? He has such low faith in himself. He figures he may as well sin since nobody likes who he is anyways. He planned on covering it up and taking what love he could get, which was what he tried to do with me. Now that he's been found out, he figured he may as well kill himself, that his chances for love are finished. His own self-defeating behavior is the culprit. If he only had more faith in himself, he wouldn't feel the need to manipulate his lovers into relationships with him, which appears to be how he reacted to the Lakshmi rejection. You might say, all of the goddesses were crazy about him in God school. Yes, they were crazy about his fake persona. He knew that if they found out who he really is, they would reject him. That's why he needs to drop the charades. Satan is wrong. He can be loved as polio abs and all. He has vast inner beauty, which I am sure some goddess out there will adore. I don't think it's wise to completely cut Jesus out of my life. He needs my friendship right now, but he must not have sex with me in any form. He is sexually attracted to me, and we should not condemn him for this. He can't control his feelings. What he can control is how he acts out his feelings. There has to be a way for him to get a healthy sexual release that won't harm himself or others until he finds his goddess.
Amen.